Let's face it, we have it pretty good on Earth. Yes, the summers get warm and the winters get cold, and it's known to throw a few devastating natural disasters at us again and again. But Earth treats its inhabitants quite well, and more importantly, there is nowhere else in the solar system that could house us the way Earth does. But that doesn't stop astronomers and scientists from searching high and low for other planets that could maintain life. We might not be able to pack up and move to these planets quite yet, but hey, what's the harm in looking, right? Recently, a group of researchers has found not just one, but 24 planets that could house a civilization just like ours. In fact, they even said these planets are better than Earth. So what breakthrough discoveries have these scientists discovered? And what makes these planets even more hospitable than our own? Well, let's find out. The research was done by a team at Washington State University. They located 24 planets outside of our solar system that are not only Earth-like, but actually better than Earth in some major ways. It's important to remember that the researchers weren't actually looking for life itself, but rather planets that could be a good home for it. The list of planets includes some that are larger than ours, warmer, or even wetter. Another way to get on the list is to be a planet that orbits around a star and has a longer lifespan than our Sun. As you can see, all of these things added up together create a planet that any human would be happy to call home. To create this list, researchers created a slew of features that they were looking for to consider a planet super habitable. A super habitable planet is one that would be able to foster a civilization like ours, and might even do a better job than Earth. So what makes a planet super habitable? What are the conditions that make life most possible? Earth served as a starting point for determining which planets may be dubbed super habitable, although researchers allowed for some wiggle room. Planets that are rocky and orbit inside the host star's habitable zone or the area surrounding a star that allows liquid water to exist were included in the list. Researchers also looked for a Goldilocks zone, or a location that is neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. After setting Earth as the basis for their search, they began looking for a certain type of star. Our star, the Sun, is considered a G-type star. That means it's been around for about 4.6 billion years and will last for about 5.6 billion more. That might seem an awfully long time to you, but in the grand scheme of things, there are many other stars that last a lot longer than that. Take K-type stars, for example. They are orange dwarf stars that have a lifespan of about 20 billion and 70 billion years. A K-type star is far greater for life because it gives organisms far more time to develop and grow. 10 billion years is great, but it doesn't beat 70 billion. So when researchers began hunting for planets that could be better than Earth, they looked for stars that could last longer. Researchers also tried to find planets that were about 5 to 8 billion years old and up to 1.5 times larger than our planet. When it came to temperature, they allowed a leeway of about 5 degrees warmer with an atmosphere of about 30% oxygen. Of course, any hospitable planet would need a lot of land and a lot of water too. It would also need a substantial moon that is about 1 to 10% the size of the planet. As the team began to winnow down what made a planet so special, the number of candidates began to drop down. It's important to remember that the list of possible super habitable planets that started with more than 45,000 known exoplanets in the Milky Way. After all the work and qualifications, it was narrowed down to a group of just 24. Of all the 24 planets, none of them actually checked off every box on that super habitable list. That's mostly because of missing data about moons, lands, plate tectonics, and more. But despite that, scientists did find one prime planet that they feel is the MVP, or most valuable planet. So, which planet earned the lucky honors of being better than Earth when it comes to being hospitable? That would be KIC 9832379. The planet is about 1.8 times bigger than Earth and only 5.5 billion years old. It orbits around the K-type star known as KOI 5715 and was discovered by the Kepler Space Telescope in a star field within the Cygnus constellation. Based upon all the research and the many attributes it holds, KIC 9832379 would probably make a splendid home for any number of organisms. However, we will never know for sure because it rests about 2.964 light-years away from us. If there is no chance that we will ever visit this planet and others on the list, what is the point of locating them? Why did the research team at Washington State University waste its time if this was leading nowhere? The truth is that this list was an exercise for future powerful telescopes that are being created and going online in the next few years. The most famous of these is NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, which just launched, along with the European Space Agency's Plato Space Telescope and NASA's Louvier Space Observatory. The researchers at Washington State saw this collection of super hospitable planets as a to-do list for these new telescopes. In other words, they were targets for them to look at, deep space locations to focus on as they get up and running and push the limits of modern telescopes. With the next space telescopes coming up, we will get more information, so it is important to select some targets, said Dirk Schultz-Makuch, the geobiologist and professor with Washington State University who led the study. For years, people have wondered about an Earth 2.0, a planet like ours that could possibly become our home if worse came to worst and we had to travel somewhere new. The sad reality is this will likely never happen. While there is a chance we could possibly terraform Mars or set up colonies on the Moon, the chances of us finding a planet we can actually travel to is close to zero. The team at Washington State University knows that, and they were aware that they weren't looking for a home for Earthlings. Instead, they were looking to prove that, as special as Earth is, it isn't the best place in all the universe for life. Schultz-Makuch put it best when he said, "We have a great number of complex and diverse life forms and many that can survive in extreme environments. It is good to have an adaptable life, but that doesn't mean that we have the best of everything." In fact, when the research of super hospitable planets was completed, Earth ranked 25th at the bottom of the list. So it's safe to say that we can no longer claim Earth as the best planet in the universe. Now we know of at least 24 others that could create a comfier, healthier home. Unfortunately, they all happen to be out of reach. The truth is that we still know so little about the universe we live in, but NASA's newest telescope, officially named James Webb, hopes to look deeper into the cosmos than we have ever seen before. Make sure to click the video on your screen and I'll show you the mind-blowing capabilities of NASA's newest and most powerful telescope ever created. I'll see you there.